Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuned In Music and Technology. I'm your host, David Solomon, and I'll be joined by my co-host, Joe Finn. Last week, we started in with a series on streaming audio, and we're going to go ahead and continue that today, dive in a little bit deeper. Last week, we talked about, really the kind of gear that you needed to get started, including your phone. And we're going to go into a little deeper dive today and try to get into some subjects that we've been asked about. By the way, if you've got any questions or comments during the session, please make sure you comment down there. We'll try to get the questions answered or the comments commented to. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and invite my co-host, Mr. Joe Finn.
Hey, Mr. David, how are you?
Any better, Joe? I would be you.
Well, as you know, streaming is really kind of one of the biggest, maybe the biggest topic in audio these days. So it's nice to be able to do this series. We got a nice start last 2 weeks ago, I should say, and we'll dive a little deeper into some of those topics today.
There's just no way to get through the subject in a half an hour. So we did have to split it up into two sessions. And then in a couple of weeks, Joe and I are going to follow this session up with a Ask Me Anything. So just in case we miss something that you're interested in, we'll be glad to pick that up. But I guess we'll have a show of Stump the Chump in a couple of weeks, which is always a lot of fun. And hey, if we don't know the answer, we'll let you know we don't know the answer, and we'll find out what it is. We've got a really good staff that helps us out with those things. So Joe, I guess we should probably hop right in, huh, buddy?
Let's dig into it, my man.
We left off with some protocols, and we're going to kind of go from, I don't want to say worst to best, but let's say least to best. And the first one that we're going to talk about is the famous Bluetooth. And boy, there is some absolute horrible information. I mean, really information that's not really true, or that you really have to leap with Bluetooth. So we wanted to give you an idea of what Bluetooth will do, what it's good for, and when you should probably hand that technology off to the next technology. Joe, you talked about it a little bit last week, but in so many ways, Bluetooth is awesome.
Yeah, there are a lot of benefits to Bluetooth. I mean, first thing we can probably say about it is that Bluetooth now is of quite a bit better fidelity than it was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It's really gotten much better in terms of, first off, range. There was only about 30 foot or so of range that you had, back in the day, and now it's quite a bit further than that. There's devices where you could get 100 foot away and not have dropouts. But the second thing is it's just so wonderfully convenient. A friend comes over and they're excited about some new music that they want to play for you. They don't have to go through the trouble of getting on your network. And of course, back in the day when you and I were, just talking about finding new music, if you hadn't brought your record over to my house or vice versa, there was no way to share it. So the fact that you can share music with Bluetooth is really a huge thing. And not to mention, of course, that there are so many wonderful Bluetooth devices now that you can take to the gym, to the beach, to your picnic, to wherever, and be enjoying music. So as a sort of a basic form of streaming, Bluetooth is actually great. Its only drawback is it's not as high fidelity in a lot of cases as some of the things we'll discuss today.
Yeah, it's getting it just like you say, it's getting a lot better. And sometimes as audiophiles, we tend to, get a little bit too big for our britches. Really, I mean, honestly. We all listened to FM growing up, and we all really enjoyed it. Bluetooth sounds better than FM ever sounded. So, I mean, it's not like it's a horrible way to listen to music. I wouldn't be without it on an airplane or on the river. You pretty much that's its protocol. Just typically for me, not really critical listening. But let's just go over some of the Bluetooth codecs so that we can really understand what it really brings to the table. Joe and I thought we would share some real facts with you and experiences so that you could kind of make a decision for yourself when you are and aren't using Bluetooth. So first off, standard Bluetooth is about 320 kilobits per second. Just to give you a reference point, CD starts off at about 1411 kilobits per second. So you can see how this is really cutting a lot of the music off. And while it may be good for a boom box or headphones on an airplane because it is fairly noisy, it's not really, it doesn't have the resolution that it doesn't have full resolution. It is still lossy. And then we go to aptX. That's a big buzzword these days, but really, if everything is right from the beginning to the end, you can expect still under 600 kilobits of resolution. So still a little less than half of CD. Then it starts getting pretty interesting with LDAC, lossless digital audio codec. That's a Sony product, and the bit rate is up to 990 kilobits per second. I got to tell you, 990. I don't have LDAC product, but I'm dying to get some. But at 990 kilobits per second, guys, LDAC is starting to sound pretty good. It's still not quite full bit.
Yeah, now you're talking very close, really, to CD quality, anyways.
Well, then when you go to the next one, which is a super specialized new form of Bluetooth, the LHDC, low latency, high definition audio codec, you've got a bit depth up to 24 bits, and you've got up to 1600 kilobits per second of information. That's higher than CD. So, you know, that it's starting to kind of seep in there a little bit, but the products that you actually have to play something like this they're kind of far and few between right now. Joe, what do you need to get started?
Yeah, it's fairly limited. We do quite a bit of business actually with a company called Hi-Fi, a wonderful company, and they've got the Neo ID-SD2. And if you pair that up with an Android phone, that's where you can actually get this even somewhat better than CD quality just using Bluetooth. I think our overall message here really, David, is that Bluetooth is getting better and probably will continue to get better. But really, there kind of comes a point where if you want to enjoy your best fidelity, there are other ways to stream, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I do want to, though, briefly, Mark Miller has rung in with what's a good product to stream as well as listen with high-resolution physical media. There's not one simple answer to that, Mark, because there's a lot of different choices. What you might want to do is just drop a note to ask@gramophone.com, and we'll make sure one of us gets back to you with explaining some of the different choices of both physical media and streaming, because a number of our brands, Marantz comes to mind right immediately, but also Blue Sound would have product that would fill that niche.
Yeah, and we're actually going to be going over exactly what you need anyway in just a few slides. So great question. Another question that we've got up is, does Bluetooth cut all types of frequency or more the bass and treble? Typically, what happens is your treble certainly kind of takes a bit of a dive. Bass, it's not going to be nearly as solid. It really kind of everything. It really takes the whole signal, kind of crunches it down to whatever Bluetooth codec you're on, and you're sort of left with that. If you take and if you actually, we're going to be doing this. I'm going to be coming up to Gramophone and Worldwide in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and we're actually going to be doing this. We're going to take a Bluetooth signal, play it, and then we're going to play like a full res signal, and you would not believe the difference. It's absolutely huge. So we'll be doing some of those demos, and it's going to be a lot of fun interacting with the customers doing that. But Joe was just talking. I want to put a bow on this kind of quick because we got some other, I think, more important topics to deal with. But Joe was going, you need a specialized phone to do this with as well. Charlie, I believe, has got a QR code that if you scan this, you'll actually go to the page that have got all of the different phones listed if you wanted to do the very highest resolution Bluetooth.
And David, a quick shout out to the best audiophile who commented that the hi-fi DACs have really good sound signature. We agree completely.
The DAC we just showed is phenomenal. It's got a preamp and a DAC, and it really sounds great. That unit too is very inexpensive. I think retail on it is like $9.99, and they can be had pretty much for about $8.99. So you get a good preamp DAC for $8.99 that's got all of the features that this Neo's got, and yeah, it's a pretty incredible unit for something that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Joe, the next up is, we talked a little bit about it last time, but it's control is so important in the home, and really a good strong internet is very important as well. We don't necessarily suggest that you stream with wireless, but there's some parts of wireless that have got to be pretty much right on. Now, what we found is that most people, they just use what the ISP, the internet service provider, gives them to begin with. It's something like this, or you may be on a different setup, but it's going to be typically something like this. Some of these guys have actually started selling repeaters, but you're paying for those every single month. You're paying for this box, you're paying for the repeaters. This is probably, if you've got any kind of a size in your house, more than two or three, more than say a couple of rooms, this would not be a good solution, because what ends up happening with Wi-Fi is the further you go, the lower your signal gets. So your decibel level is going to get so low that you'll push a button, let's say, to control, let's say you hit pause or play or fast forward or fast rewind. What we really want to happen is that it's just exactly that. As soon as you hit it, something should happen. But in the case of folks using an ISP in a too large of an area, what happens every single time is you hit the button and then you wait, or if you're not very patient, you hit the button and then you hit the button and you start mashing the button, and then it just completely screws your system up. So what we really suggest is not using that particular ISP router as your main connection point. Well, what do you think, Joe? What should we use?
That's right, David. There's nothing on the one hand wrong with the internet service provider's router, but you can, for not huge money at all, bring in something that will be much better if your idea is that you want to stream in high resolution and have it sound great. So upgrades can be had. And again, here at Gramophone or Worldwide Stereo up in Philadelphia, we're more than happy to advise you on some different ways you can go.
I did one not long, I guess it was about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was just incredibly impressed. This is a little mesh network from Aero, and I think right now are Prime Days, so you could probably pick that thing up for like little to nothing. They're not very expensive at all, and it'll make all kinds of difference in the way your system works.
Mm-hmm.
And just the next slide we've got going up is pretty important in just the way that you want to have your system wired and controlled. So if you're going to be streaming high-res music, our biggest suggestion is that you use an Ethernet connection to your streamer. This way it just never fails. Wi-Fi, it will work. I mean, if you get a really strong Wi-Fi signal, just like kind of the one I was talking about on the Aero, it works for me. I can actually stream 24/192. But the thing is, you never know when Wi-Fi is going to take just a little bit of a dip.
Right.
So what ends up happening, just so you guys know, because this is a question that I got quite a few times over the last several years. It's like, look, I can stream Netflix. I should easily be able to stream Qobuz or Tidal. Well, both of these music services are non-adaptive to where Netflix or the video programs, they are adaptive. So what happens is if the signal goes down and you're watching Netflix, the quality of the visuals, the quality goes down a little bit. Maybe it starts off at 1080p and it goes to 720 or whatever it needs to go to keep that movie going. High-res streaming services, the best high-res streaming services are non-adaptive. So if your signal falls underneath what is required to give you that full bandwidth, it doesn't go to a lower bandwidth. It simply cuts off. So really, music streaming, high-resolution music streaming is a good bit harder to do than even video, which doesn't sound right, does it?
No. So yeah, you want to start talking a little bit about Connect?
My favorite subject. I have been waiting on this for so long. Connect has got to be the coolest feature. And wow, we're really doing good on time too. So we can talk about this a little bit. Connect is my favorite feature for a number of reasons. First off, I love to keep my app open. The Streamers app, Qobuz, Tidal, Spotify. The reason that I've got these three pulled up is because these are the three currently that offer Connect. And so what it is basically you got a phone. Let's just say it's your phone. And you're gonna pull up Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii. Okay, right now that is going to, thanks Adam, I'm glad to hear that. That's going to pull up, of course, the album, and you could play it all day long on your phone, or maybe the headphones that are connected to your phone. But what if you wanted it to play on your system? This is the cool part. Take a look at the lower left-hand corner of the screen right here, and you'll see that it's my iPhone is chosen, David's iPhone, so it's going to play on my iPhone. However, if you touch that little icon, it's going to pull up every device that's available that does Qobuz Connect. And so you may say, why use Qobuz Connect as opposed to the app streamer? And the reason that you want to do this is because there's more features. Of course, Qobuz, Tidal, and Spotify, they have a ton of features, or a lot of useful features that aren't available on any app. So that's a really good reason to do it. So you keep all your favorites, all of your playlists, all in one area. And then when you want to share something, it makes that so much easier because you're in the app. That's another thing that apps don't do well, is share. So now you've got your piece of music pulled up. You copy that URL and send it off to somebody. As soon as they pick that phone up and hit the URL, it's going to open up, let's say Qobuz right now. It's going to open up Qobuz. You'll hit play. You can choose your component, just like we did before, and you're off to the races. So it really keeps everything self-contained, and no matter what streamer you're using, you get to use the same app, because that's another thing with, if you've got multiple streamers, they've always got the buttons in different areas. So that's Connect, and I use it every single day with every product that I've got. I'm super happy that NAD or Blue Sound, last week they just enabled Connect. So I whipped out my old Blue Sound Node 2, and it's just the Node 2, right? It's an older unit, and I threw that on my drum kit, and it's just so incredibly solid, Joe. I mean, I just absolutely love my Blue Sound piece, and now it's time, I think, for me to go out and get a few more. There you go. Just a couple quick comments. Best Audiophile, who rang in earlier, is saying, I went out and got a 25-footer and Ethernet cables, and everything sounding good. And then our friend Adam One Take Domerad, who works with Coastal Source, says, I love Qobuz Connect. But there are also going to be some situations where you might want to use the app. And some of our friends that have really good apps, and a couple of examples would be, you've already mentioned Denon and Marantz with the HEOS app. And there's also, of course, our friends over at Blue Sound
with BlueOS, one of the things you can do is access your local library if you've got an app, and people do love that. So that's one argument for going that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a local library, you've got to have some way to play it back. And almost all of the streaming apps have got a little USB input. You could just throw your hard drive right there and go to town.
Yep. And a second argument would be if you've got multiple rooms where you have devices from that brand. So again, either BlueOS, which is going to be NAD and Blue Sound, or HEOS, which is going to be Denon and Marantz, you can go, up to 20, 30, and in some cases even more rooms, and have all those rooms playing music. So you can set up a true wireless whole house audio system within their app. So the fact that these apps are getting, rock stable and with very high fidelity is really a good thing. A couple other features might be DSPs for control of a EQ system, and accessing outside content like radio, internet radio, and podcasts and so forth, like this one.
Yeah, going to DSP, if I could just add to that a little bit. NAD, Blue Sound, they've got direct built into quite a few of their units. So Joe and I, a few weeks ago, we talked about one of the most important components that you could possibly have is your room. But if your room isn't right, there's no way you can make the sound right if it's got too much bass, or it's too reflective, or it's too much this or too little of that. This DSP can help even out all of those peaks and dips and really help you get a much better sound. You can't do that with Connect either. So that's a really good feature that you're talking about. And then Joe, I mean, we all listen to radio. I guess we do. I mean, I know I do. I listen to KCOB. It's my favorite radio station in the United States. That's a Colorado kind of a rock station, and it's just a fun station to listen to. And you have to have the app to do something like that. So really, to put a little bow around this, when you're just listening to music, if you're mostly streaming, I think Connect is just absolutely the way to go, even if you do have an app. And then when you do want to access your local library or do multi-room, access DSP or outside content, we suggest you use the streamer. Really, I think the bottom line to all this is you've got a choice now. You've got more choices now. So hop in on the one that you like. I mean, you'll kind of typically gravitate toward one or the other. And here's the really cool thing. There's not a wrong answer. So if you check one of those boxes or both those boxes, I checked both of them, you're never wrong.
You're absolutely right to say it, David. All streaming is fun. I mean, it's all good. So it's really kind of coming down just to what you need in your particular home and with the equipment that you have, right?
To me, it's the still streaming is the most exciting thing in the world, especially the high res or the lossless streaming, because the biggest investments that you and I had in our system when we were growing up, even if we had really nice systems, which I had some super nice systems growing up, it was never the system. It was the software that I had. I had thousands of albums and thousands of CDs. And if you start adding up all the money that you've got into your software, oh my God, it's just, it dwarfs what you would have in even a good system. So this is another point that you really should think about when you're thinking about your system or thinking about streaming. Go ahead and get the better unit. You don't have to put hardly anything into your software these days, and the amount of money that you're saving on your software could easily go in for a speaker upgrade or a DAC upgrade or that next streamer up there. Because now we've got all the music in the world that's ever been recorded available to us in the touch of a button, or at least a really good portion of it.
Yeah, you certainly might not have a particular indie artist or that you like, and then too, of course, people do still enjoy their physical media because they've in many cases built that up over years, and they love still pulling out that album that they got for their 25th birthday or whatever the heck it was. So there's nothing wrong with interacting with the physical media, but it is stunning the amount of music that you now have available to you via the streaming services that have gotten so popular.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just it is fun and it's convenient and it's and I'm at the age that I still feel super privileged just to even to be able to access this stuff. I still have to pinch myself every single time, and I've been saying that for years, but I really do. Now, we were talking a little bit, Joe, about people wanting to take their CD collection and rip that into their system, and I just want to say something about that. I did it for years and years before there was any such thing as streaming. I mean, there was Pandora and things like that, but everything was like totally lost. So I would go around the country and teach people how to rip their CD collection into a hard drive, so at least they could get some kind of lossless information. But it's always tough. It was tough then. It's tough now. The thing is with CD ripping, it's like I think it's a waste of time. And I'll tell you why, because the CDs, like you can see, like one of my racks of CDs back there, most every CD I've got back there is on streaming, but a good portion of them are higher resolution than I've got back there. So my general rule of thumb is never rip anything unless you're just doing it for a hobby. There's nothing wrong with doing it for a hobby. Never rip anything unless it's not available. Give you a perfect example. Roger Waters' Amused to Death. It was the original recording. You cannot buy it anymore unless it's used. So that's one that I've got ripped onto my hard drive. And I'm a big DSD fan. So I've got a lot of DSD albums that I bought from Blue Coast Records or from Qobuz that are on my hard drive because I need to be able to access those. But things that are just normal things, don't. If you burn in Wish You Were Here, you're going to be burning it at 1644. We've got it at 2496. So no need to do that.
So I think, David, the rule of thumb there, given in the last couple minutes that we have here, the rule of thumb there is if you decide that you don't want to have all those CDs up on your shelves anymore, that's cool. Just kind of go through them and see if each, this one I've got on streaming, this one I've got on streaming. Oh, here's a little bit more rare one. I want to rip this, and just make that little pile of stuff that you do want to rip because it's not available on your favorite streaming service.
And if you do, and you're trying to manage this stuff, you want to do it like kind of a little better than the streamers will do. Both of these programs are just incredible. They're both paid programs, so you could check them out. But Roon is probably the best music manager on planet Earth. We don't really have time to go through all of what Roon will do, but I did want to kind of finish, Joe, just to kind of wrap things up a little bit about just we've gone over so much. Let's go over just the hierarchy of streaming and what you get when you hop up in quality.
Yeah, sure. And we'll just take a couple quick comments here. Chunksville, which is a great name, by the way, comments that a lot of those CDs that were recorded pre-1990 actually have really good dynamic range on them. So yeah, again, it's not about, you got to get rid of your CDs or you can't rip them. It's more about, hey, you got certain favorites that you want to keep your CD player and play those because sonically it really works out well for you. Or again, because it's a title that's not available, go for it. But yeah, we can say that Bluetooth is great for what it is. It's just not as high resolution. It's lossy. It's more compressed sounding than some of the better services. Then you got AirPlay and Comcast, which is both are better, but you are a little bit capped to reasonably close to CD quality. And then we can go on to the outboard apps and Connect protocols. Like Spotify and Tidal and Qobuz, those three all have Connect, which makes it very simple to access in very high resolution, excellent sound quality, just a huge number of your favorite music. And then the last one would be a product like Roon, where we have customers who've been using Roon for years and they wouldn't go to anything else because it's a little bit more expensive than not having Roon, but it's a great way to manage all your metadata and keep all your music organized.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we've got on streaming. I mean, we literally could have gone an easy 30 minutes more. And so there are a few things that we just absolutely didn't get to that I was dying to get to. But that gives you a chance to join us in a couple of weeks for the Ask Me Anything. It should be Ask Us Anything. Ask Us Anything, and Joe and I will be here to have some fun with you folks. Thanks so much for all the comments. We had so much information to just try to get out in 30 minutes. I'm sorry that we didn't get to all of the comments, but we'll end up answering these on YouTube or wherever it is. But I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us, and hope to see you in the future.
Cool, David. On behalf of Worldwide Stereo in Philadelphia and behalf of the Gramophone stores here in Maryland, we'd like to say thanks again to all of you for attending. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.